Have you ever heard of a prince who became a gangster? It sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it's the real-life story of Laang Cing. His tale is a dramatic saga of a fallen prince, a ruthless Triad kingpin, and a man whose life ended in tragic ruin. It's a story you won't forget. Laang Cing was born in 1911 in Laang Cing, Guangxi. But he wasn't just any boy. He was a prince, a direct descendant of the last Tusi of the Zhong clan. The Tusi system was a form of imperial Chinese rule where local chieftains governed ethnic minorities. His family had held power for over 600 years, tracing their lineage back to the Ming dynasty. Zhong was groomed to be the next leader, receiving a classical education and training in martial arts. He was the heir to a long and proud legacy. He was supposed to be a ruler, a guardian of his people's traditions. But fate, as it so often does, had a very different plan in store for him. The world around Zhong was changing rapidly. The fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912 and the rise of the Republic of China brought an end to the Tusi system. Just like that, his family's centuries-old authority vanished. Their titles were gone, their land was seized, and the Zhong clan's power crumbled into dust. For a young man raised to believe he was destined for greatness, this was a devastating blow. The future he had been promised was stolen from him, leaving him adrift in a new, uncertain world. He was a prince without a kingdom, a leader without followers. This loss of identity and purpose would plant the seeds of resentment and ambition that would later define his life's dark and violent turn. With his birthright gone, Zhong left his ancestral home and drifted to Guangzhou. The bustling city was a stark contrast to his rural upbringing, and he struggled to find his place. He tried his hand at various odd jobs, but nothing stuck. The humiliation of his fall from grace gnawed at him. It was during this desperate time that he was drawn into the shadowy world of the Triads. In the lawless chaos of the criminal underworld, Zhong saw an opportunity. Here, power wasn't inherited, it was taken. His natural leadership, charisma, and martial arts skills, once meant for ruling his people, were now the perfect tools for climbing the ranks of organized crime. He found a new kind of kingdom to conquer, one built on fear and violence. Laang Cing wasn't content just being a foot soldier. His ambition was boundless. He quickly proved himself to be intelligent, ruthless, and a master strategist. He formed his own gang, which rapidly grew into a formidable force in Guangzhou's underworld. They controlled gambling dens, opium houses, and protection rackets. Zhong's name became synonymous with power and terror. He was known for his cunning and his brutality, a man who wouldn't hesitate to eliminate anyone who stood in his way. The prince, who had lost his kingdom, had now become the king of a criminal empire. He had reclaimed a sense of authority, but it was a throne built on the suffering of others. This was the era of Laang Cing, the Triad kingpin. But as the saying goes, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. Zhong's reign of terror couldn't last forever. By the late 1940s, the political landscape of China was shifting dramatically. The new government launched a massive crackdown on organized crime. The Triads, once untouchable, were now public enemy number one. Laang Cing, the powerful Tusi prince of the underworld, found himself a hunted man. The very power he had fought so hard to build was now the reason he was being pursued relentlessly by the authorities. His criminal empire began to crumble as his followers were arrested or scattered. The kingpin was on the run. Zhong's once mighty network was no match for the state. He was eventually captured, and his trial was a major public event. It symbolized the end of an era, the government's decisive victory over the old criminal order. The evidence against him was overwhelming. His crimes were numerous, his guilt undeniable. The verdict was swift and the sentence absolute. The man who had once been a prince, who had become a kingpin, was condemned. In 1950, Laang Cing was executed, bringing a final, definitive end to his tumultuous life. His story serves as a stark reminder of how a lust for power can lead to utter ruin. Looking back, the story of Laang Cing is a true tragedy. It's a complex tale about more than just a gangster. It's about the clash of tradition and modernity, the loss of identity, and the corrupting influence of power. Born a prince, he was a product of a bygone era, unequipped for the new world that had rendered his birthright meaningless. Did his circumstances seal his fate, or did his own choices lead him down a path of darkness? He chose to rebuild his lost kingdom in the shadows, using violence and fear as his foundation. In the end, his empire of crime consumed him entirely, leaving behind a legacy not of a noble leader, but of a notorious gangster whose life ended in ruin. From a princely heir in the mountains of Guangxi, to a feared Triad boss in the streets of Guangzhou, and finally, to a prisoner facing his end. Laang Cing's life was a whirlwind of power, crime, and tragedy. It's a cautionary tale about how ambition, when twisted by resentment and desperation, can lead to a devastating downfall. His name is now etched in history, not as the Tutsi ruler he was meant to be, but as a symbol of a dark and violent chapter that has long since closed. What do you think? Was Laang seeing a victim of his circumstances, or the architect of his own demise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this journey into a fascinating and dark piece of history. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more untold stories. See you next time. In the sprawling concrete jungle of Hong Kong, where fortunes are made and lost overnight, legends are forged not just in boardrooms, but in the shadowy alleys of the underworld. Today, we delve into one such legend, a story whispered in hushed tones, the tale of the black and white impermanence, the ruthless rise and spectacular fall of Hong Kong's most feared Triad duo. Our story begins in the gritty, post-war streets of Kowloon. This wasn't the gleaming metropolis we know today. It was a chaotic labyrinth of poverty and ambition, a perfect breeding ground for those who dared to live outside the law. It was here that two young men, Ah Hak and Ah Bok, met. Hak, meaning black, was the muscle, a stoic, fearsome brawler whose fists spoke louder than words. Bok, meaning white, was the brains, a sharp, cunning strategist who could see 3 moves ahead of any rival. Together, they were a perfect storm. They started small, running protection rackets in local markets, but their ambition was boundless. Hak's reputation for unyielding brutality, combined with Bok's brilliant schemes, allowed them to carve out a territory with terrifying speed. They didn't just defeat their rivals, they absorbed them, dismantled them, and made examples of them. Their methods were ruthless, earning them a moniker inspired by the underworld deities of Chinese folklore. Hak Mosun and Bok Mosun, the black and white impermanents, messengers of death. As their empire grew, they expanded into more lucrative ventures. They weren't just street thugs anymore. They were becoming a corporation of crime. From smuggling and loan sharking to infiltrating legitimate businesses, their influence spread like a shadow across the city. Bok, the mastermind, established a complex network of informants and corrupt officials. While Hak enforced their rule with an iron fist, they seemed untouchable, a dual-headed dragon reigning over Hong Kong's criminal landscape. At the peak of their power, they controlled a significant portion of the city's underground economy. They lived lavishly, their names synonymous with both fear and a strange, dark glamour. They were the kings of a hidden kingdom, their edicts carrying the weight of law in the places the police couldn't or wouldn't reach. But in the world of triads, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. The very traits that fueled their rise would soon become the seeds of their destruction. Cracks began to appear in their seemingly unbreakable bond. Bok, ever the strategist, saw the changing tides. Hong Kong was modernizing. The old ways of brute force were becoming obsolete. He wanted to legitimize their operations, to wash their money clean and transition from gangsters to businessmen. He envisioned a future where they could operate in the open, shedding their violent past. Hak, however, saw this as a sign of weakness. He was a creature of the streets, a warrior who believed in the simple, brutal purity of power. To him, going legit was a betrayal of everything they had built. He despised the world of suits and handshakes, trusting only the loyalty forged in blood and fear. This fundamental disagreement created a rift between them, a chasm that their enemies were all too eager to exploit. Rival gangs, long suppressed under their reign, saw their chance. They began to chip away at the edges of their territory, testing their resolve. At the same time, The Royal Hong Kong Police, armed with new anti-corruption laws and a dedicated organized crime and Triad bureau, launched a major offensive. The net was closing in from all sides. The paranoia and distrust between Hack and Bach festered. Bach suspected Hack of plotting to remove him, believing he had become too soft. Hack saw Bach's secret meetings and financial maneuvers as a plot to cut him out and leave him to the wolves. The perfect partnership, the yin and yang of their criminal enterprise, was now hopelessly out of balance. Their enemies didn't need to defeat them. They just had to wait for them to destroy each other. The final act was as swift as it was tragic. A deal orchestrated by Bach to secure a new, legitimate business front. Was it a setup by a rival, or a trap laid by Hack to eliminate his partner? The truth was lost in the chaos. In the ensuing conflict, the duo turned on each other. The strategists and the brothers in crime became mortal enemies. Their empire, built on a foundation of brutal unity, crumbled in a single night of betrayal and violence. In the end, there were no winners. The legend of the black and white impermanence concluded as it began. In the shadows, one was found lifeless in an abandoned warehouse, a victim of the very violence he championed. The other vanished, rumored to have escaped with a fraction of their fortune. Forever looking over his shoulder, a ghost haunted by the empire he built and destroyed. Their fall was a stark reminder of a simple truth. In the underworld, loyalty is a currency, and betrayal is the final price. The cycle of power is relentless, and even the most feared figures are ultimately impermanent. The story of Hack and Bach serves as a cautionary tale, a dark chapter in the vibrant history of Hong Kong. It shows that even the strongest empires can collapse from within, and that the bonds forged in the underworld are as fragile as they are fierce. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Hong Kong's criminal past. If you found this story compelling, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating hidden histories. Let us know in the comments what legends you want us to explore next. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.